Hey everybody, welcome to the channel and welcome to the show. I hope your day is going great. Are you having fun yet? My name is Eric and I'm glad you could join us because today is a very special day. We get to make a sausage that I've been wanting to make for a very long time. Today we're going to be making Lebanon Bologna, also known as Lebanon Bologna. This is truly an incredible sausage. It's been around since the late 1700s, originated in Lebanon County, Pennsylvania, and brought to us by the Pennsylvania Dutch. It has roots in Western Europe, and it utilizes all kinds of beautiful meat preservation techniques like slow curing and smoking and fermenting. And when I was doing my research on how to make this sausage, I came across something interesting. There is very little information on how to make Lebanon Bologna at home, and I completely get it. Most people aren't making this sausage at home. This can seem like an overwhelming recipe. It can seem a little intimidating because, let's face it, most people are uncomfortable leaving meat out at room temperature for 2 or 3 days, fermenting meat, curing meat, and then eating the end result, which is basically raw. But today, on Celebrate Sausage, we're going to do just that, and I'm going to take you through the whole process of how to make this history-rich sausage that is absolutely incredible. Hopefully, by the end of this video, I will have demystified it, and maybe you'll feel more comfortable in attempting this spectacular sausage. And before we make the sausage, I just want to take a minute to thank the patrons of this channel for sponsoring today's video. The Two Guys in a Cooler patrons are this channel's producers, and it's because of their monthly contributions that we're able to make some of the videos that we make and series just like this. So a great big thanks goes out to all of you producers out there who work hard in helping me produce this show, who give me awesome and great ideas and excellent feedback. We couldn't do it without you. If you would like to be a producer for the Two Guys in a Cooler channel, check out the link in the description box below. It'll take you to our Patreon page. And we try to offer a lot of value there. So you're going to find special patron-only discount codes to companies that you're more than likely already buying from, especially if you're into sausage making. And you get all kinds of other cool perks like early video releases and special access to me in the event that you have a situation and you need to talk to me personally. So a lot of really great stuff happening there. It's definitely worth checking out. So thank you, patrons. Thank you, producers. Let's make Lebanon Bologna.
Let's take a look at Lebanon Bologna. This is an all-beef sausage, and we're going to do something a little different. I'm going to be using some dry-aged beef trimmings that I had from a brisket and some dry-aged beef fat trimmings. So you obviously don't need to do this because this is literally just beef and fat, and the recipe will be in the description box below. But basically, this is going to have, you know, a 15 to 20% fat content. And all I'm going to do here is trim the beef and fat into pieces that are small enough to fit into my grinder. We're going to do a double grind, and I'll show you that here in a minute. But once we're done cutting everything up, we're just going to take this and place it in the freezer. We want our meat below 34 degrees Fahrenheit when we grind it. So while that's chilling, let's take a look at the spices. We're going to start off with salt, and we're going to come back with Instacure #1. Next, we're going to add a touch of sugar, and then we're going to add a different kind of sugar. We're going to add dextrose, and that's going to feed the bacteria that's going to ferment our Lebanon Bologna. We've got black pepper, allspice, ginger, clove, and cinnamon, and I love the German influence on this sausage. I mean, not only the spices that it uses, but also the way that it's prepared. It reminds me a lot of a Mettwurst or a Teewurst. So let's put our spices to the side, and let's look at fermenting our sausage. This is going to use a starter culture called FLC. And FLC has a lot of beneficial bacteria that is going to acidify our sausage. And all that means is that it's going to eat the sugar that's in the recipe. The bacteria will then produce lactic acid, lowering the pH, creating a shelf-stable product. So we're just going to rehydrate that starter culture, leave it in there for about 30 minutes before we need it. And let's take a peek at the casings. We're going to be using Bologna casings. These are great casings. You can smoke them. They're incredibly strong, incredibly durable, so you can really pack them full of product and you don't have to worry about them ripping. This is one entire casing. Now, we're only going to be making about 1 kilo of this Lebanon Bologna, so we're going to cut that in half, and this is about all we're going to need. So to get this casing ready for stuffing, we're just going to put it in some lukewarm water for about 15 or 20 minutes, and it looks like our meat is now partially frozen, so we're going to go ahead and grind this up. The first grind is going to be on a 10 millimeter plate, whatever coarse grind plate you have, 12 millimeter, it doesn't really matter. Once we're done grinding that up and it looks absolutely beautiful, nice and loose, we're going to go ahead and regrind this on a 4.5 millimeter plate. And there we go. There's our ground meat. It looks perfect. The trick here really is to keep everything nice and cold. And notice how, everything looks loose. That's the way you want it. We're now going to go ahead and mix this into our stand mixer. If your meat warmed up too much during the grinding process, just re-chill it. You want to make sure that your meat is below 34 degrees Fahrenheit when you mix it. So let's go ahead and add our spices. And then we're going to come right back and add our starter culture and make sure that everything gets well incorporated. After a couple of minutes of mixing, and I think with this KitchenAid, we've been mixing for about 3 minutes so far. And I just want to feel the texture of the meat. I don't want to overmix it. And so as soon as the meat mixture is very sticky and tacky, and it sticks to my hand when I turn it upside down, just like that, then I know I am done. So let's go ahead and just get this into our sausage stuffer. We're going to tightly pack that bologna casing, and then I'm going to show you how to ferment it because we are almost done. The little bit of sausage meat that was left inside of our sausage stuffer, we're going to wrap in cling film. We're going to use that to test the pH at the end of this process just to see where the pH ended up. So we're going to take that and all of that's going to ferment together, but now it's time to tighten up that Lebanon Bologna, and I'm just going to tighten up that casing by twisting it and then tying it off at the end. And some of you may or may not know, but I'm a one-man show when it comes to sausage production. And so if you'd like to see a more in-depth video about how I tie my knots, being only one person, then leave me a comment in the comment section below and we'll take it nice and easy. So that way, if you're a one-man show, you can tie your knots just like me. All right, it's now time to ferment our sausage. This is where we allow the bacteria to really start doing its work to lower the pH, which is going to make this shelf stable. In order to ferment your sausage, you have to put it in the appropriate conditions. And because we're trying to get the pH of our sausage to lower pretty quick, we need to put this in temperatures that are normally higher than I generally ferment at. So I'm going to be using a immersion circulator to ferment this sausage. Now notice that my sausage is not in the water, it's actually just in a sous vide bag. We're going to set the temperature to 90 degrees Fahrenheit and allow that to ferment. And that's just going to sit inside that water bath, which is the perfect conditions for fermentation. It's going to sit in there for 18 to 24 hours. Temperature range is 85 to 95 Fahrenheit or 29 to 35 Celsius with high humidity. And as far as preliminary pH targets go, I like to shoot for somewhere between a 4.8 and a 4.9. I know that that's not where we're going to end up though, because we need to cold smoke this for 2 days, and I know that during the cold smoking process, it's going to continue to ferment. And so that's what we're going to do right now. Let's take the pH of this Lebanon Bologna and see where we're at after roughly 24 hours. And for those of you that are into salami making, this is a great way to ferment your salami if you need those higher temperatures. All right, so let's take the pH. We're going to break out our trusty Apera Instruments pH meter. Great unit for pH testing. So let me just show you how easy it is to use. First, we're going to unwrap our smaller sample. And you're going to immediately notice that the color is magnified. To me, it looks more purple. The texture has changed. It's kind of well bound together at this point, almost rubbery. And we're just going to stick that pH meter directly into that meat and just see what the reading is. Okay, now remember, I'm looking for a pH target of anywhere between 4.8 and 4.9. So we're just going to stick it into that sample and 4.84. Absolutely perfect. That's exactly where I want to be. And now it's time to take our Lebanon Bologna and then cold smoke it. And I just want to say how you make this sausage in the winter will be slightly different than how you make it in the summer. So be sure to check the recipe in the description box below. I'm going to outline the differences. From fermentation, we're going to put it into our smoker, and the temperature outside is in the mid 70s. You know, we're kind of in a springtime right now. And we want to cold smoke this. So at all times, the temperature needs to be under 75 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's going to stay in there for 48 hours, for 2 days. And let's now test the sample after it's been cold smoking for 48 hours. So I just took the sample out of the smoker. We're going to give it a quick little test and see where it's at. It should be a couple points lower because over the last 2 days, the starter culture will still continue to eat the sugar in the recipe. And yep, just like that, we're at 4.63. And this low pH creates an environment that's inhospitable to unwanted bacteria. So we've now created a product that's going to have a much longer shelf life. And through the process of fermentation, we've developed its flavors. So we're going to get this really nice tangy element to this Lebanon Bologna. And I think it's time to cut it open and see what it tastes like. And I got to tell you, I am pretty excited about this one.
Lebanon Bologna, it's time to taste it, and I'm very excited about this. This was a really fun sausage to make, and you know, just looking at it right now, the texture looks great. It smells amazing. I mean, you can almost smell the acidity a little bit. You definitely get the cinnamon and the clove and the smokiness. Let's just kind of get into it right quick and see what it tastes like. Oh, look at that. The texture is perfect. Okay, let's just take a piece here. That is really good. I mean, that's super moist. It's got a very nice tangy quality to it. It's a little sweet, and for being smoked 2 days, I actually thought that the smoke was going to be intensely overwhelming. It's not. I mean, it's actually pretty well balanced. I love the fermented flavors of the meat, and you can definitely get like that cinnamon and clove element kind of coming around on the back end. You know, I actually thought that there would be a stronger dry-aged flavor, but there really isn't. It's just a very faint hint of that dry-aged flavor. What's really coming through are the complex flavors created by the bacteria during fermentation, and that really brings a lot of depth to this particular sausage. Overall, I would say this is an incredibly delicious sausage. I mean, I loved the process of making it. It's cured, it's fermented, you know, it's matured and cold smoked for 2 days, and then it's eaten. So this is basically a raw sausage. And what's interesting is that through the process of curing, fermenting, you know, smoking and maturing, the texture of the meat completely changes. And by the time you eat it, you would never know that this wasn't cooked. It's got a great mouthfeel, a great texture, it's very moist, and it just tastes like a regular slice of bologna. And I hope you get a chance to make it. You'll find a link to the recipe in the description box below. Adjustable quantities, you can print it. I've got all the details. And of course, if you have any questions, you can leave them in the comment section below. If you found this video entertaining or helpful in any way, a great big thumbs up is always appreciated. And if you're new to this channel, we'd like to say welcome. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. We're posting up a new video every day through the month of October. I don't want you to miss a single episode. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.